This is maize. From maize, we get maize brand. From maize, we make broken maize. From maize, we make posho, or maybe food for human beings. So with maize, you have the feed for animals. You have the feed for chickens. Maize is something you can plant and grows in a short time. Just in 4 months, you have harvested. This is not much maize. I make such videos because I want you to have the courage that any maize works. Because when you have to put 100 kilograms of maize, if you have to make 1 bag of feeds for your birds, you need maize. Let us say you need 70 kilograms of maize. And when you plant like 20 decimals, or maybe you can talk of 50 by 100 plot, you can easily get about 500 kilograms of maize. And if you have some few birds like these ones, the local birds, you cannot buy feeds because you already have the maize. So basically, maize is the major food for our birds. It is high in carbohydrates. It is a feed that is easily palatable with birds. The digestion does well with maize. Many people use, others could use maybe wheat, others could use rice bran, but the maize bran is key if you are to do poultry. Otherwise, with any other thing, you're just wasting your time. Maize is easily digestible. Maize can be used in any other form. It can be used as broken maize, as whole maize, as maize bland. By the way, you can plant maize, then you remove the feed, which is your own portion, to eat as human beings in the house. Then you keep one of also your birds. Meaning the maize bland can be eaten by your birds or maybe your pigs. Then the maize, which is portion, is eaten by human beings or by your family members. Which means if you're to plant maize, you're not going wrong. Nobody ever says planting maize is wrong. Today we see a lot of people say that maize farming is expensive, but we need the maize. Who are this bad? This is their maize. But of course, eating it like this would be a waste. I have to take the machine, grind it, then I bring it for them. Maize is planted in this way. You see, when you have maize, you remove this the bottom parts. Those ones you give them to your birds. If you want to plant maize from the ones you had, after removing, then this middle part is the one good for having maybe the next season's cereals or seeds. So you select them very well, keep them. But before you plant them, you have to first soak them at least in the water for overnight. Then you remove them, dry them a little. After drying them, just a little, not drying them a lot, just dripping out the water. Then you take them to the garden. Of course, they will be having some bit of germination. That is for them to easily get out of the soil. You plant a 2 by 2 spacing, 2 feet. That means if you look at my hand, usually say like this, that's 1 foot. So you can plant 1 by 2. Let's say a seed from this side to this side, that's 1 foot. Then to another line, that is 2 feet. From here, you add like this, then like this. That is 1 line, 1 by 1, then 1 by 2. To plant your maize. Oh, sorry. When you plant your maize in that way, you'll be putting only 2 seeds in the hole. But if you plant 1 by 1, you should be able to put 1 seed in the hole. We don't want to have this kind of planting, which is just vagantly planting anyhow. No. You have to do maize to get high yields. You plant in a proper way. You plant as if you went to school. I usually encourage planting things for a purpose. By the way, if you don't have such birds, you never have happiness in the compound. I don't know how non-farmers survive. For us farmers, look at these flowers here. It's either you have what makes you happy, but for me, my passion is all about this. Look at, this is their maize. Of course, they are stealing it. It's not yet ready. But if you survive in a poultry farm, you must have maize. In animal feeds, we know very well that we need maize bland, then any protein source. That is either soya bean or sunflower or silverfish. Of course, these days we have introduced in black soldier fly for protein. We have these jack beans. All those are good for protein for your poultry. But this one goes in 70% for the feed. 70%, I could say if you have to make 100 kilograms in a bag of feeds. That means you need 70 kilograms of this, either maize bland or maize. But the 70 kilograms, would you need again maybe 20 kilograms of protein, then 10 kilograms of any other source. That is maybe calcium or any other source of energy. But this maize being the major source of energy or carbohydrates, we must have it in plenty or at a cheaper cost. Because buying it would cost you a lot of fortune and you end up not having any profits in your farm. That means having it in your garden saves a lot of cost. So people would think that planting it is not as effective as buying it. But of course, as I say, you must start with what you have. Maybe your grandmother gave you land. Maybe you can hire land. You can lease land so that you can plant maize. With some maize, the farm will thrive. This year, we have had a challenge of feeds, and the feeds have been the major cause of many farmers getting out of the farms, of the poultry farming. But if you had maize, you stayed, because 70% is big enough for you to make a feed, or for you to make a meal for your birds or for your pigs. So, if you haven't started farming, think about the feed cost. Think about the source of the feeds. Think about, would you get the land? This is not labor intensive. This is not labor intensive at all. These days, you only make a hole, then you put in your maize. You weed. You only weed once, and in 4 months, your feeds are ready. Your maize is ready. And by the way, during Uganda, feeds have increased. I mean, the maize has increased the prices. You used to have maize at 200 shillings, but today we're having maize at 1,000 and above. Remember, $1 is 3,700 Ugandan shillings. So that means our maize, for the farmers who plant maize, is very good. It has good prices. But for the farmers who do poultry, the feed prices, which is maize, are so high. That is dangerous for us. But still, we must do farming. So these guys, you're almost finishing your maize. See, they're so violent, but they know. They say a shepherd knows his sheep, and the farmer knows his birds. That is me. Are you okay? So this one, we have to remove it from the cobs. Then we take it for grinding. We shall get the maize bran and again the maize. But this one always will be broken maize. Broken maize is really good for the birds because they take less of it than maize bran. It is stronger in the body. The conversion rate takes that slower rate than the maize bran. And the birds which eat maize are heavier than the birds which eat maize bran. So you must have the broken maize. And because broken maize is expensive, you must plant yours. You must plant yours. So, if you're first time on this channel, please subscribe. If you've been here, share the videos. We don't want always to cry, feeds. No. Let's look for the ways on how we can cut the cost, on how we can survive, on how we can struggle, and maybe the sky won't be the limit anymore. See you next time in the next videos. This is Kataps once again. Bye-bye.